Hey, what's up guys? Bluntguts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I always appreciate it. We've got the first summoning weekend of the Till Kingdom Comes event coming up in just a few days, and they have released the banners. I am going to go through them in this video. Let's go talk about them. All right, so 3 different banners coming this weekend. We've got the 2x banners, standard 2x banners. I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but I will say, always a decent place to summon regardless of your account level. I will say the earlier your account is, the better they are for you. But if you are hunting, say, like Legendary Lords, this is actually the best place to summon. At least Legendary Lords that are available from regular summons, which obviously the Ancient exclusive Lords are not going to be available on these 2x banners, but a great spot to summon if you are just trying to flesh out your roster for sure, or if you're going for a more quantity over quality approach, definitely the place to be. The Raid Up banner, the 15x Raid Up this weekend is for Xaris and for Nyx. Xaris is an excellent arena champion, primarily used in AoE arena, but is part of the chaotic meta that is going on right now at the top of those leaderboards. Nyx is kind of out of meta, I'd say, in a lot of places, but maybe seeing a resurgence in anti-air arena. We'll have to see how the new arena changes do kind of shake out. As far as the epics, we've got Baron, we've got Lily, we've got Kalina, and they are, well, one of them is really good, one of them is decent, and the other one is god-awful. Lily is the best, or one of the best, GVG healers in the game, but of course isn't epic, so I don't know that she's a reason to pull specifically on this banner if you don't want the legendary heroes that are on Raid Up. Baron is an excellent tank, but again, due to his lower base stats, is going to be kind of limited usage as far as a tank, because he is an epic. It's just not as good as his legendary counterparts, or at least the better legendary counterparts. Certainly is better than some of the legendary defenders in the game, no question about it. And Kalina is a hero that deals primarily true damage, can't crit, and is not really used anywhere. So unless you are looking to flex and beat some content with some epics versus legendaries, then I don't think there's really any reason you should be going for Kalina. That is my perspective. Let's go talk about the awakenings on the legendaries so that you can get an idea of where the kind of different power breakpoints are for each one. Let's go talk about Xaris. All right, so going through the awakenings for Xaris, one thing I didn't mention about Xaris is that the way that he functions when he is first deployed, he is at the peak of his power. He is a summoner. He has a number of summons that are inherently summoned when he is first deployed, and so the highest damage that he will do is in the first 30 seconds or so of his deployment, which is why he is so great in AoE arena, because he is low cost, only 12 costs, and when you do deploy him, he is going to be able to take out really up to the first 3 waves of that encounter. I don't know if that's going to persist when the new arena stuff is released, but I imagine it will, because he does a lot of small hits, and my understanding is that one of the primary changes is that big hits are things that are going to be reduced in that game mode. So definitely somebody who I do think is going to withstand this new round of changes to the arena. The A1, to that end, is really, really powerful. Summons 2 extra Souls of the Damned. Those are his summons when he is first deployed. So you're basically going to get a 50% damage increase versus what you would get at a 0. I think that's right. Let's see. How many does he? Excuse me. He summons 3 Souls of the Damned when he is first deployed. His ultimate is going to summon 4 more Souls of the Damned. So depending on when you use his ultimate, but basically you're going to get a 66% increase to his inherent first deployment summons, which should allow you ultimately to not use the ultimate on that first wave of enemies when he is first deployed. So that is really, really powerful. The A2 is plus 300 attack. He does have lower base attack than a lot of other mages at only about 4k at a 0. So this is going to bump up that base attack, give you more benefit from attack bonus gear. That is really nice. The A3, when there are no Souls of the Damned on the field, each time the hero restores rage, there's a 5% chance or 1 in 20 chance to instantly gain full rage with a 30-second internal cooldown. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, he has inherent summons when he is first deployed, right? And every time he uses his ultimate, he's going to generate more summons. So the longer he's been on the field, the fewer summons he will have, and as a result, the longer it takes for this awakening to become relevant. So I don't think this is actually really all that big. I've never seen it be something that is really make or break. If you get it, no harm in that, but it's also not reliable, right? So 1 in 20 chance each time he restores rage. It's just not something that I would be looking to get necessarily, but It's not going to hurt you by any means, but certainly not something I would be pulling for specifically. The A4 is plus 8% penetration. That's nice, but you have to pull 5 copies of them in order to get that, so I wouldn't be pushing for that either. And the A5 increases the duration of coercion, which is a damage bonus that he does apply every 4 seconds to one of his summons on Souls of the Damned by 5 seconds. Now, coercion is basically going to... So this A5 is essentially going to double the duration of coercion from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. Solid. It's going to give you more uptime on it. But again, this takes time to build up. Given that he does most of his damage on initial deployment, I don't think that this is something that is going to really come into play that much. And again, not worth pulling 6 copies of him. So that's my mind. So I guess in summation, I would say the ones that you really want to shoot for is this A1. This is by far the most important one. It is going to really directly correlate to more success in arena when you do first deploy him, which is when you're depending on him to do a bunch of the damage. The A2 is nice to increase his base stats. I do think that for endgame content, this is one of the few ways that you can really increase the ceiling from a stat perspective of your heroes. So always really good. But after that, I don't think there's really much more to be pulling for. And quite honestly, for most players, I'd say the A1 is really where you would want to stop. And even then, I probably wouldn't specifically be pulling for this hero unless I was like ultra arena focused. That was really an area of the game that I was looking to improve, which would also mean that you'd have to have an accompanying chaos team and all of that. So the next time AoE Arena is active, I would go look at the top of the leaderboard, see if you can recreate one of these teams, and that's going to give you a better idea of whether or not this is somebody that you should really be going for. Let's go talk about Nyx. So Nyx is great. She is most relevant, I'd say, in the Pelagios Codex, although I wouldn't be surprised if she does become more relevant in anti-air arena again. That is someplace that previously she was really strong in pre-Ingrid. I do think Ingrid is not going to be quite as effective as she previously was, so Nyx may see a resurgence because there are some teams that are somewhat competitive, few and far between, but somewhat competitive with Nyx in it that are can be a threat to Ingrid comps that are not timed properly, but we'll have to see how that kind of evolves. But the Pelagios Codex is probably her best spot right now. She in past seasons has been relevant in GVG, but she's not really used all that much in current seasons. So you'll have to take that with a grain of salt. I'll go through the Awakenings right now. I will say all of them are pretty solid, but I also, before I get through this, will say that I don't think that she's worth specifically pulling for. She's one of the few heroes on my account that I don't actually have for whatever reason. In 18,000 summons, I've never summoned her, and she is as far as everybody can tell anyway, a pretty common legendary. So it's odd that I've never pulled her. But even despite that, I am not going to be going for her this weekend, I don't think. So take that for what it will be. If you do want to rank on the Pelagios Codex, she is kind of essential. The leaderboard is filled with teams that do have Nyx in them. I don't know that there are any teams that don't have Nyx in them that do make that top 100, but in any case, let's get to the Awakenings. The A1 is plus 5 seconds on her alteration. That is really nice, especially since a lot of her Awakenings seem to be aimed at increasing the uptime of the ultimate. So this is certainly going to help that if that is your goal. The A2 is plus 300 attack. Always nice, especially on Marksman, is going to increase her base attack. So you're going to get more out of your attack bonus gear. The A3 increases rage by 50 when you kill the enemy. So poorly worded, as many of the OG legendary tooltips are. This is really not all that clear, but I think at the end of the day, they're just saying that anytime you kill an enemy, you are going to get 50 rage. She does have a 900 rage cost ultimate, meaning that you'd have to kill 18 enemies in order to get a full rage bar. But given that she is an AoE hero, depending on the content, that may be possible. Either way, getting any kills is going to reduce the amount of time in between ultimates, which is really awesome. And because of that long ultimate, 35 seconds total in duration by the time you would get this Awakening, could certainly be very powerful. The A4 plus 2 rage regen on the auto attack. That is nice, but not necessarily essential. Again, this is going to reduce the amount of time it takes you to get back to that ultimate, but is, I don't know. I think, having to pull 5 copies of her, kind of underwhelming. I'm never really big on these rage regen ones, but I think in high-end competitive content, it probably will come into play to a certain degree. So I'm talking Arena, I'm talking about GVG, and I suppose potentially the Pelagios Codex as well. And the A5, each basic attack launch has a 50% chance to inflict AoE damage again. So her basic attack does inflict AoE damage, 50% chance to hit twice, essentially. So this is essentially going to be a 50% damage increase purely for her basic attack, which, solid. Definitely nothing wrong with that. Again, I don't think that any of these are really worth pulling for specifically, unless you are a whale and you just pull every weekend. I don't think this is somebody that you should really be pursuing, because I think most people, unless you're my account, are going to accrue Awakenings of Nyx pretty easily anyway. So going for her on this banner is going to kind of undercut all those times in the future when you do pull her. So I would just you know, I wouldn't go heavy on this banner is really what I'm kind of saying to you. If you are thinking about pulling extensively on this banner, from my perspective, I think that should only be if you don't have a copy of Xaris or of Nyx, I suppose. But really, Xaris should be the headliner here. He is the one that is harder to come by, and so I do think that he is the one that you should be pulling for if you are pulling on this banner. But again, I don't think that either one of these heroes has broad enough use that you should specifically be targeting them. Rather, it'd be better to wait and have them come to you at a random point when you're pulling on a different banner. The final banner that is going to be coming on Saturday this week is the Nascent banner, which I feel like is many people's favorite banner. The first legendary that you do pull on this banner will be one that you do not currently own, or not, I shouldn't say currently, one that you've never pulled before is really the best way to put it. So with that said, there's a couple things that you should keep in mind. One, you should go through the gallery and figure out exactly what your pool would be. That is the first thing that you should do. The second thing you should keep in mind is that the relative chance to pull any of these heroes is going to remain the same regardless of what the pool is. So Arrogance, for example, is a rare legendary hero. There are other legendaries in the game that are significantly more common to him. If you don't own Arrogance and you don't own some of those more common heroes, he is still going to be less common on this banner than the other heroes. Hopefully that's clear, but at the end of the day, what this means is that this banner becomes more attractive the more of those rare heroes you are currently missing. So let's go through the gallery. I'm going to tell you what my logic was as far as whether or not I'm going to be something. So in order to determine which legendaries you can potentially pull on this banner, you need to go to the gallery. You need to see whichever ones are grayed out, like say, for example, Giselle here. Giselle is grayed out. That means I have never pulled Giselle. Now, I can't pull Giselle on this banner because Giselle is ancient exclusive. Not somebody you want to pull, so I'm kind of glad I've never pulled her. But the heroes that you can pull on this banner are one, ones that you've never pulled before, and two, ones that are available from normal summons. So any ancient exclusive heroes that you've never pulled before, you will not be able to pull them on this banner regardless. So let's go through my gallery here so you can get an idea of how you should approach this. So looking at the fighters here, one, make sure you're on the all tab so you can look at all the heroes in the game. On the alt tab, I can see there's a bunch of heroes that I am missing, a bunch of fighters that I do not have. However, all of these fighters, except for one, are ancient exclusive. That one is Xena down here. So Xena I have never pulled before. She would be eligible on this banner. Now, looking here, Ghan is ancient exclusive, Xaris ancient exclusive. Malvira, on the other hand, though, is the one defender that I do not have that is available from regular summons. So I could pull a Malvira. Going down to the marksman, this is where I'm missing the most of the heroes that would be available on this banner. I am missing Nyx, Kai, Lynx, Yuri. Other than that, I've got all the other ones, but those that is the largest group of heroes by unit type that I am missing. The mages, I am missing Lysair still. I am missing Morgan. She's the only normal lord that I do not have to this point. And I think that is it. Oh, excuse me, I forgot about Lyra. I don't have Lyra either. And then I do have all of the healers in the game that are available from normal summons. So don't have Gwendolyn, didn't pull on her exclusive banner, and I don't have Desomi or Eunomia. That's what her name is. That's what her name is. But I do have all the other ones, and the other ones are the ones that are available. So I won't pull a healer on this. I know that for sure. At the end of the day, for my particular case, none of these heroes are going to make a massive difference to my account power. They are not going to enable anything that I cannot already beat. And so I just don't think that there is a real good reason for me to be pulling on this banner when there are other things that I would rather pull on coming down the pipeline. This is going to be account specific. Again, I think you should look at how many of the rarer heroes you are missing right now. And if you're missing a lot of very important ones, this is going to be a better banner for you. But if you do have questions about whether or not you should pull, you're more than welcome to sound off in the comments. Let me know. I'll try to give you some advice as best I can. But at the end of the day, this is a very account specific question, so I can't give you any particular advice here. But just to recap, the 2X, if you want to pull, go for it. Never a bad spot to pull, but it's also there every weekend, so no need for any FOMO as far as that's concerned. The Xaris and Nyx banner, I don't think there's widespread enough use cases for either one of those heroes to really feel like you need to pull on that. But if you're trying to catch them all and you're missing one of those heroes, you could certainly go for it. And then the Nascent, again, kind of similarly, it's going to depend on your account and whether, and what your goals are in this game. If you are looking to increase account power, then whether or not you should pull is going to be directly related to which heroes you are missing in this game. If you are missing a bunch of stinkers like I am, then that is not really something that is going to help you out, but it's going to depend on your own roster. In any case, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. As always, please do click that thumbs up button. Toss me a subscription if you are not already subscribed. I know there's a lot of you that watch my videos regularly that are not subscribed to my channel. So toss me some support. It is a free way to increase the visibility of my channel. It really does help me out. So thanks in advance if you can do that. And yeah, good luck on your own summons. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what your plan is this weekend. I will catch you all next time.